Swag and merch represent billions of dollars. On today's show, we'll be talking about swag and merch with Barbara Hobart, the woman who says she does kick-ass branded merch. We'll be talking about why you might use it in your marketing and building a strategy for how to decide and proceed. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Madeline Blair, and this is Unlocked, a show all about unlocking the resilient leader in you. We all have items in our drawers and closets that were given to us or we purchased ourselves just because they are branded by a company, a movement, a show, an event. The Advertising Specialty Institute, the ASI, reported promotional products industry swag reached a record of $26.6 billion in sales in 2024, with projections for growth in 2025. The merch numbers are even higher and harder to measure as they touch different industries. But just the global apparel industry was $1.77 trillion in 2024 and projected to go almost twice that by 2030. All those little things in our drawers and closets truly add up, which means that companies benefit when they develop a strategy for using them. My guest today, Barbara Hobart, who works with companies as they strategize what and how to use swag and merch as part of their marketing efforts. And I'm going to bring her in. Barbara Hobart, welcome to Unlocked.
Oh gosh, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Barbara is a merch strategist who refuses to slap logos on random stuff. I love that. She builds creative, brand-aligned products made with the end customer in mind. So a brand shows up in someone's day, not just their feed. She calls it strategic swag, tangible, useful items that make the message stick. I just love how you present yourself on this because, it's the customer that is so important. My audience to me is so important. What do they really want? What do they really use? As I think about, and I am thinking about what it is that I could bring to them. There's more I can talk about you. Let me see. I like in particular that you began your company called Home Plates, which I'm going to let you describe what that was and how you got started that way.
Okay, well, again, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. Well, I think when we first met, I told you I spent my career, and I still write, but I'm a television writer and producer. And one of the things that happened is I was on hiatus from a show, and I lived in Los Angeles for many, many years. I was working in Hollywood, and I just bought a new house, and it was the 90s, and the big thing to do was sponge paintings, like every vertical surface.
Yes.
And anyway, I was in the blue bathroom, which was like now yellow, and I sponged over and I ruined this like plastic, light switch cover. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And so I was like, it was, just a little plastic thing. And anyway, at this time, it was Martha Stewart. It was like pre-prison. She was like decoupaging like everything. And she's like putting pictures and stuff. And I said, I don't even know like what made me do this. But, I added like these little pictures on, it was a little handcrafted thing on this light switch cover. And one of the things that's really weird is that back in the 90s, decorative light switch plate covers were not really a product or a thing like they are today. It was kind of a novel, weird product. Anyway, so people saw them at the house. They're like, oh my God, these are really cute. You should like sell them. And I'm like, well, I'm working at the studio. So anyway, people started to really like them. And I thought, oh, so I hired these stay-at-home moms and they were making them and things like that. And this is like when the internet was very early, and I ended up visiting then some friends in London. And I had been making the switch covers and, like selling them at little wholesale things like craft shows. I mean, it was not anything that was like a thing. And so I go visit friends in London, and they had this square white light switch cover in the middle of their backsplash. They just redone their kitchen. It was like this gorgeous, gorgeous Italian tile. And I said to my friend Jonathan, I said, "Oh my God, let me make you a light switch cover." Decorative. And he goes, "Well, you can't." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean I can't?" And their switch is physically molded into the plastic and then wired into the wall. Like our switch is in the wall, you take off the plastic thing.
Right.
And I said, "You mean like the whole country is like this?" And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Huh." So I'm a comedy writer, and I know nothing about. I don't even know what the word injection molding is. I don't even know what this is. I said, "But I'm inventing a light switch cover for that country." Like, I don't know what possessed me to do that, but I actually did. And I ended up 9 months later. I invented the very first decorative light switch plate cover that required no rewiring, and I launched my company in the UK. And that's how Home Plates was born.
I love it to have a simple idea just blossomed.
Yeah, and the thing is, one of the things is it really, people were like intrigued with it, especially over in the UK, because again, they could not change out. So I invented the cover that goes over it without the rewiring. And really, one of the wonderful things about it was I actually became the manufacturer for, like, my first big client was Laura Ashley. So they gave me all their wallpapers,
Yeah.
and I matched them to it. So this was like a whole big thing, and this is like the internet is very young. I still had dial-up when this happened. I think Google was like 10 minutes old.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's how Home Plate started. And from there, I don't know why, but like other people had companies and businesses that started to come to me for ideas on how to create custom products. So that's kind of how it began. I mean, what was like an accident, now I do on purpose.
I love this story because actually a very logical story once you see the idea. And now
It's following through. A lot of people have ideas and they're like, "Oh my," but they don't really do anything. And I don't know why I was like so determined that they should have a decorative light switch cover in England.
Wow, it was good friends. Now, clearly, that's part of the path that gets you to where you are today. But you came out of writing for television and movies. What is it that you draw from that today that prepared you for what you do today?
Well, I think one of the things that's really similar, even though it may not seem like it's similar, is, when you are creating a story or a script and you want to hold your audience's attention. And basically, merch is the same thing, only in physical form. And you when I'm writing, I think very strongly about what the scene is about and the story I want to tell and how best I want to tell it. And mainly is, how do I want my audience to feel? And with products, I approach that in the very same way. When somebody receives a gift, the thing that I want, the first question I ask is, how do you want somebody to feel? And there's different jobs that go along with that. And then, as far as television, I mean, there's schedules and budgets and approvals and deadlines, and merch is basically the same thing, except there's fewer egos and more freight. uh, anyway, the thing that everybody strives for, I think that, when you're writing a story or a script, or is, you want it to land, and you want it to be kept, and you want it to be talked about, and you want it to resonate with your audience. And so one of the things too is that when you're working on a script, whether you're in post-production or you're writing it, editing is really key. And you don't want to add, filler and fluff, and it's not just like slapping, as you said in the intro, it's not slapping a logo on a product. That's not branding, that's printing.
Mm.
And so you want something that's really going to resonate with your audience, but that's also going to be a reflection on your mission and what it is that you do.
I I love the comparison to story because in fact I work in story a lot myself, and I just had Noah Baum on the show, and she was talking about story as well. But to think of even a piece of merchandise as being a story, because it's got to capture you and you have to resonate with it.
Yeah, there's a reason behind it. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of stuff ends up in a junk drawer, and you obviously don't want to spend money that's going to be considered something that's going to end up either as landfill or a junk drawer. And
Mhm.
so the thing is, there's the strategy behind, why is it being created, who is it being created for, and how is it going to be used?
Yeah.
So it becomes part of the audience's daily life,
Mm.
and that's how, you want to begin to think about, like, why am I creating this particular piece of merch? And one of the things that I think is really very important today, almost more than before, is that, everything is so digital and everything is online, and people really, really want a connection. And one of the things today is, like when you go back, to like my mother used to tell me, when you go to somebody's house for dinner, you bring a gift. And that's really how you're connecting. So, like you're coming above, you're not just in the scroll, you're in real life. And I think that that's a lot more important today than it has been, before, because people are so disconnected, even though, we're all wired up together 24/7. That's not real connection.
It's not real connection. Well, we've been using the words merch and swag just as we before we continue. Just give a quick just definition of those two things and how they relate to one another.
Um, well, let's see. It's definitely a physical brand
Mhm.
aspect, and it creates connection. Swag sometimes can have a a negative connotation.
Mhm.
And sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I call it strategic swag for a couple of reasons, but it reminds sometimes, like, I always call it, like, it's not like your grandma's swag. I mean, it's like these cheap trinkets or things like that.
Mhm.
Sometimes it reminds people of, like, cheap plastic things that break or get tossed or whatever. And what I like to, and so swag is usually given out for events, for client gifts, for onboarding, or for thank yous, at trade shows, conventions,
The classic, I think, is a button.
the lapel pin, or, and oh, the the squeezies. I mean,
Yep.
like all different kinds. I mean, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but, and merch can be given or sold, and it's great for, like, creator collaborations and community drops and brand stores. And so strategic swag is basically, it's useful, it's elevated, and it's intentional, that belongs in somebody's day. And the real goal is to get your brand out of the drawer and into
Mhm.
people's desks, and on people's desks, or in their car, or in their kitchen, or in the travel bag, where people actually live. That's so you want, like, that key ring. I mean, with the tile tracker on it to help you, find your lost items and things like that. I mean, you want it to be intentional. You're not going to give the same thing to, necessarily, like, if your brand is, like, eco-friendly, you're not going to, like, give out plastic water bottles. So you want to create the connection also between the audience and the product that they're receiving.
What are some questions that a company should be asking themselves? Because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you know, you've convinced me. There is a reason why I would want to invest myself in swag or merch or whatever. But how do I begin to think about it? What are some questions as a company that I should be asking myself? And I'll answer any if you want.
Oh, well, one of the things that a lot of people are trying to figure out is like, how do they stand out?
Mhm.
And everybody is competing, in creating more content and going viral or standing out in the feed. And it's really hard to stop the scroll. And one of the things is, people are looking to be part of a community. And, like for instance,
Yeah.
um, there's this great, okay, like I think of it like this. How many different kinds of bottled water are there? I mean, it's ridiculous how many there are.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then you look at a brand like you look at a brand like Liquid Death, and it's canned water basically. But their merch alone is exceeded over 3 million because it relates to the audience. They want to be part of this community.
Oh, you have to tell me what liquid death is.
Liquid Death is a very cool brand of canned water that has taken the market by storm. And there's like millions of different kinds. This is like the opposite of anything corporate. I mean, it almost has like a feel like Kiss, and it's very edgy and it's fun and it's irreverent and it's just really out there. And so, just when you think that there cannot be another bottled water company, they just blew it, no pun intended, out of the water.
So if so now I think I begin to understand. It is such an unusual packaging because that's the only way that water can be distinguished. Well, there are other things, but is that you think of yourself as being that kind of person. So you
Yes,
join that community.
absolutely. Like for instance, one of their thing is death to plastics, and so everything with them is so that's very planet forward.
Yes.
And and that resonates with so many people
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
and the fun that they have with it, and not taking themselves so seriously. I mean, it's just what they have done with that brand is just brilliant. It's just absolutely brilliant.
Hmm. And that's merch.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely merch.
All right. Well, so I don't sell bottled water. What are some questions I should be asking myself? I'm curious.
Well, one of the things, um, well, if, for instance, for a lot of people, they spend a lot of money on digital ads, and that's great and that's
Mhm.
wonderful, but you're basically renting attention.
Yeah.
But when you have a physical product, um, that's lasting. If obviously if it's done right, you're retention focused. You want to give products that are going to be meaningful for renewals or donor loyalty or customer loyalty. And they're great to be used as ways to build relationships.
Okay.
Might want to reward clients with a milestone, or a referral, or community growth. So you want to figure out, like, what is it that you want your audience to experience from, like think about it like this. You know, we talked about canned water, but like for instance, there's Adidas and Nike,
Mm.
there's Mercedes and Lexus.
Mhm.
Um, why are some people loyal, Chevy or Ford? What is it about each of these brands that makes somebody a diehard fan? And that's really about because how that brand makes them feel. So you ask yourself, well, what do you want your audience and your clients to feel? And creating a message, or a gift or a product around that is such a great way to connect you to your audience.
I love that question. And in fact, it's funny because just this morning I had a meeting with a group and they were pummeling me with questions. And one of them was very similar to that. And they said, what is it that you're trying to do, Madeline? What is it that you want to do with this show that you have? And I, I, I mean, I knew the answer, and so I shared it with them. I said, I just want people to discover their agency, that within them, they have a capacity to do amazing things. And I want to unleash that from them. And that was, for me, even though I knew it, it was excellent to be able to just express that to them. Now, as you're saying this, I'm thinking, okay, what kind of thing could I create, send, whatever, that would tell people to belong to Unlocked means this.
Well, one of the things that the way you start building the ideas around how do you create or what is it that you want to create is you want to start with the moment. What is the moment that this item is for? And so is it for a special event? Is it for onboarding? Is it for a VIP outreach? Is it a thank you? Is it a referral? Is it renewing? And so after that, what you want to do is you want to define the outcome. What do you want the person that's receiving this to do? Do you want them to book a call? Do you want them to refer you? Do you want them to upgrade? And then what I kind of dive into with clients is knowing your audience. You know, like what is in their routine and what do they touch daily, and how you can make that better in their day for them. So you're basically you're matching the brand and the message. And it should, feel like you as, again, like, if you're an eco-friendly company, you're not going to give out, plastic, water bottles or things that are not going to, not going to be in line with your brand's mission. And the one thing, no matter what product that you want to do, is quality absolutely matters. Cheap does not save money because that reflects on you. And when somebody gives you something that was like a last minute thought, you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this, which is why usually it ends up in the junk drawer. And the last thing is, it doesn't end with giving the gift. Follow up and is part of the strategy as well. The note, the timing, when it's given, and that creates the connection after the gift is received.
I watch a podcast. I won't identify that podcast, but it had a community that you could join. And then you could continue to discuss what was on the podcast, and you could get access to merch. They sold lots of merch. So I joined it because I liked the podcast. And then I discovered I didn't find the community interesting. The questions and comments were very shallow compared to the quality of the guests. So I withdrew. But I think I'm beginning to understand what you're talking about. And the the swag there. I'm trying to think what the swag was. No, the swag was just that you had access. Oh no, you had special access to notes and things that were part of the background of the show.
One of the things that's really cool is that when you are given, when let's say you have a T-shirt, or a hat or a baseball cap or whatever, your clients that are wearing them, they're like walking advertisements for you.
True.
And that's advertising that's not being done that you're by you. Your audience is praising you. And so that's another way that you're seen in real life, not just online.
Yeah. It's interesting. I refuse to wear things that I can do symbols, but I don't do anything with letters and names. I find that they're just going to have to get it another way. But that's just me. Okay, so you've talked a lot about what I need to be thinking about: the moment, the outcome. I see you're in the city. Which city are you in? Are you
I'm based in Chicago?
Chicago. Oh goodness, that's even noisier than New York.
Well, today it seems to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a problem though. And let's see, what was the next one that I got? Oh, then it can't be cheap. Oh, I so much agree on that. We have enough cheap things around, but just clutter up the landfills. Um, and you've talked a lot about what I should be thinking about. Are there any other key factors? And or maybe I should ask the question differently. Can you give us an example of one of, and you don't have to identify your client, but a client that you've worked with and the kind of steps that they went through and the results?
Well, I've pretty much gone over a lot of the questions that I would ask a client. But like
Mm-hmm.
for instance, like a lot of my clients, depending on what field they're in, like if they're in tech,
Mm-hmm.
or even if they're not in tech. I mean, frankly, because everybody has a cell phone and they, need it to be charged. But like for instance, all the different types of products that are available right now, maybe were not available, so many years ago. But there's chargers and power banks and the multi-cable. Things you forget it, and then or you're driving in the car and your friend forgot their charger. um, you want to think about things that can live in your purse or your backpack or the glove compartment. Things that they're touching every single day, like workday tools or things for their desk, whether it's notebook systems or laptop sleeves or webcam covers or screen cleaning kits. Something that's going to keep you visible without intruding, that's going to be useful. I mean, so it really depends on the client, what product would they, obviously, okay, like I've done a lot of like kids lunch boxes,
Huh.
but that it would not be, for, you know, a brand that, does not have deal with kids. I mean, so again, it has to be, like what's going to be useful to the audience. Things that are really great for, whether you're a sustainable company or not. One of my number one selling products that works actually across almost any type of industry are custom printed Swedish dishcloths. And
Custom printed Swedish
dishcloths.
dishcloths. What's the magic about them?
Well, the magic about this is one Swedish dishcloth replaces 15 rolls of paper towels. It lasts 6 to 9 months. You could put it in the washing machine or the dishwasher. Um, it is phenomenal to print on, whether you have designs or logos or messages, or and they're great. And they're compostable, they're biodegradable, and they're sustainable. And they're not expensive, but they're in their person's hand at least 2 to 3 times a day because,
Wow.
you're doing the dishes or wiping up stuff. And it's just one of the best products. It was started in Sweden, I think, like 75 years ago. And it's one of the products that my clients just love. And I use them across all industries.
I would never have thought of that. In fact, believe it or not, I have received some of those and I put them in the giveaway bag because I said, I don't know why I'm using this.
Well, they're, one of the things that's so great about them is the fact that, I mean, they um, replace 15 rolls of paper towels, and they are just, I mean, they're eco-friendly, and they
Yeah.
save the
Well,
planet.
you have to understand my kitchen. I use cloth dish racks.
Yeah,
I've always used cloth and I just put them in the washer. And
yeah.
so, but I didn't know that those could be washed and still
And
actually.
and the thing is that the artwork that you could put on them. I
Yeah.
mean, I do them for artists. I do them for
Ooh.
banks. I do them for um, tech companies. I mean, I do them for all real estate. I mean, I do them for financial planners. I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't think there's an industry I have not made them for.
And one would automatically think that that's a home item. And yet in the office, you have coffee, what do you call it? Stations.
Mhm.
and it would be useful there too. Ah, interesting. What's another unusual product?
Um,
You can tell I don't shop much.
no. It like for instance, like one of the things that became really kind of an interesting thing is people worried about plastic and they stopped using like plastic straws, and a lot of restaurants and things like that came out with paper straws, and like nobody really liked the way they felt, and they like kind of if they weren't made well, they're just not great. But one of the things that people really love, and I'm actually, strangely enough, I'm actually using one right now, is, and I never did until I tried this. I was at a friend and I ended up with the stainless steel straw, and it's just so good because it also keeps the drink really cold. And it's just and you can brand them. And I've done like a here. It's just weird. I just happened to be doing them for a client, and they come in this like really cute pouch, and you could put their logo on it, and it comes with a little brush to clean it. They're great to take everywhere. And I don't know why, but this product is really popular with so many different types of industries. And I've been doing a lot of this for people that are trying to get away from plastics. And so that's one product that is unusual that
Mm,
people really seem to appreciate and really like.
yeah.
Um,
Now, have you used that with a particular client where that became their merch or their swag?
I have,
It, what was the motivation from the company to choose that?
because they wanted to get away death to plastics. I mean, they just want to have something that's going to be eco friendly. They
Hmm.
want something that people can take with them, whether they're traveling or whether they're at home or at the office. And it's just something that I mean, it was weird because I had never really tried one. I was like, first of all, you try a stainless steel straw. I was like, why? And then I don't know. And then I did. I was like, oh my god! And it's the only thing I use now. I just got back from a cruise, and they're very sustainable line, which I just loved. It was like one of the best vacations I've ever had, and they had a lot of the paper straws, which I appreciated.
Hmm.
But I was like, well, never mind. I have my stainless steel straw. It's like very weird, but I like became like a fan of this, and so I've done it for you know as items as part of a gift box,
Hmm.
or something that goes with a tote, or it depends on, like, sometimes people will just give away one thing. Sometimes one of the things that I like to do is, instead of just putting together giving one item, we create a fabulous box, so the unboxing moment also becomes an event,
Mm.
and it all fits together. So that's something that's really fun and really creative. And a lot of people think that they have you need like this massive budget, but you don't if it's done right.
What are can you talk about some figures? I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, now if I'm going to do this, I have to budget for it.
Well, really, you want to figure out, like, how many, again, what is the client? I mean, do you want to give this to 30 VIP clients? Do you want to give it to one really big client? Do you want to give it at a trade show? Do you want 500 units? Do you want 50 units? I mean, one of the things that I've been doing, which is really exciting, is there used to be a time where you had to order a minimum quantity of 48 or 100 or five. Sometimes the minimums were really big, and a lot of my clients just didn't want to do that. And so
Mhm.
one of the things that I specialize in as well is one-offs, and being able to gift, like, for instance, if you want to give somebody like the CEO of a financial institution a gift, you're probably not going to give the same gift to a fitness trainer. I mean, you may, but the thing is, I love working with clients when they only need one very special item, as well as, I mean, I have orders, somebody will come to me and say, I want 100, Swedish dishcloths and, 100 keychains. And some people come to me and, they want, 50,000 lunch boxes. So, I mean, it really depends. I have clients of all sizes. Some are very big brands, some of them are startups, so it really runs the gamut. And the thing is, I will work with basically any budget.
Okay.
So you have to decide, how many pieces do you want? What is the purpose behind it?
Hmm.
And, and I mean, you could do like fresh baked cookies and notebooks and things like that, and do it as a release program. I mean, you could do great food,
And do you arrange for all this to be?
everything. I do everything. I handle all the sourcing. I help you choose the product. I do all the sourcing, the production, and have it delivered. So you don't have to deal with any of this.
Talk about fulfillment.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's good because people, sometimes people want to do merch, but they don't want to become like a merch manager. I mean, they don't want to have to go sifting through vendor quotes and suppliers and mock-ups and all that stuff. I've been doing it long enough that I have a network and a group of suppliers and that I work with. And so it's all done. I mean, you don't have to deal with any of it, which is great for my clients.
It is superb. I mean, it's the kind of thing that I'm sitting here going, there's the one thing that I will definitely pay for, and that's giving me back time
Hmm.
for what I do. Huh.
Absolutely. One of the things that's kind of a fun thing is that I've been launching in the last month, strangely enough, is people that typically do they'll run and do like print on demand, and that's great in some instances. But again, you're still deciding and mocking up logos and things like that. And now I have the ability and this is great for people that want to, that have a community or followers or clients, or they're doing fundraising, and it works across all industries, is we set up your very own print on demand store. And you pick really high premium, quality, from, the North Face or Eddie Bauer, under, all the wonderful premium brands, and different housewares and all different types of products. You give me your logo and your brand colors, and it's done for you. And so you can use that either to buy wholesale, for giveaway
Mhm.
or things like that, or you could sell it and you decide your own
Mm.
commission, your markup. So it's basically a site that is 100% pure profit.
Wow.
No setup fee, nothing. You just have your own print on demand store.
Mm. This is getting more and more exciting. You know, obviously, many companies have figured this all out, but there are a lot of small organizations, or even like mine. I mean, I've been around a long time, but I never even thought about this aspect. And this is just opening up all kinds of possibilities in my mind. Mm, yeah. Okay. Uh, what are some other social trends? Now, you talked about eco, no question. People are concerned about that. But are there other social trends that you see coming in to influence how people choose and swag?
How they choose it. I think that again, it goes back. I think it really goes back to, like why people make a purchase. Again, why does somebody buy, Ford over Chevy, or Audi versus Mercedes?
Mhm.
What is it that is adding a benefit to your life? And what community do you want to associate yourself with? I think that really comes down to like any buying decision. Why are you choosing that product? It's fulfilling a need. It fixes a problem. It offers the solution you're looking for. It's got the right price point. It's something that you're proud to wear or carry. Um, typically, if you think about some of the products, like some people are Android, some people are iPhone. Some people buy Sony, some people buy Samsung. It really depends, I think, on, why does that brand speak to you?
Okay. And why do they watch Unlocked and not some other show? Because I have a very loyal audience. I mean, I just love them because they are there every week, and it's very exciting to know that I'm meeting someone's need now. But now I'm really going to think about this. What is it that draws them there? Okay, I can't resist. What's the most unusual swag or merch that you had to create for someone?
Oh, here's one. That um, Blake Shelton was opening Old Red at the Opry. It was in Nashville, and they came to me, and I they wanted a. It's on my website. You could actually see this. They wanted a beer can belt holder that held 6 cans of beer. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, it was like this belt.
Mm-hmm.
It was like neoprene. It was camouflage. It was very cool, and it had the old red logo on it, whatever, and it was camouflage. I was really a long time ago, and in it held six beer cans.
Amazing.
But when they said to me, they were like, "We want a beer can belt holder." I was like, what? Like, okay, no, and it was great. It was really fun to make. I had it designed and made, and it was really fun.
Oh. I think that surprises me, really surprises me. But to some people, that's really important.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a fabulous product. It really came out great.
Yeah, because if you're going to an event, you want to have lots with you, I guess.
Well, you want it right there. I mean,
Right, exactly.
get up and go get another. It was
Yeah.
a fabulous piece.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have just a little bit more time, but I think before we move on, what's something about this that we haven't considered yet?
Well, I'm trying to think about. I think that probably the fact that over the decades, like we have gone through many different tech innovations. I mean, there was like, I hate to date myself, but like the fax machine. I mean, when that came out, people were like, "Oh my God,"
That's right.
and how innovative that was. And now we have, we had Google and search, and now it's everything is AI. And I think that it's really probably, I'm trying to, it's about adapting. I mean, we're getting all these new tools all the time, no matter what decade they came out in. And I think that the one thing, no matter how fabulous technology is, it doesn't really replace creativity and connection. And I think that people, as I said when we started this conversation, I think that like people really need that and they want that, and that's something that never goes out of style.
Mm-hmm.
And like tools and trends, they come and go, but being human is really what it's all about and how one grows. And it's about, I think, honestly, I think it's about being seen.
Ah,
And I think that's what it is.
being seen on both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be seen, but the other person wants, because the gift is so perfect for them, they feel seen.
Hmm.
Ah, that really simplifies my thinking. Because if I can say yes to that, then
Hmm.
I really will help me making a decision. Oh, that's fabulous.
Thank you.
Barbara, this has been such an illuminating conversation. I didn't know what to expect. And I mean, I knew it was going to be good because you and I had some conversations,
Mhm.
but it's really expanded my thinking around what this means and the fact that you have not just helped people, you don't just help them select it,
Mhm.
you help them through that whole process so that they can make a decision and step away.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody needs a second job.
I love it. Barbara Hobart, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been just such a pleasure.
Thank you. Every now and then, there is something that changes how I think about the world. Grounds for Thought is a place where I talk about these moments so that you can explore the meaning for yourself. As I listened to Barbara, all I could think of is, you know, we keep some things and we don't keep them. Why is it that we keep them? And so as I prepared for my talk with Barbara, I looked around my home and my office and I said, what merch and swag have I accumulated over the years that I actually wanted to see why I kept and used what I had received? So I'm going to tell you what I found. First of all, the oldest merch that I found was from almost 50 years ago. And it's a spoon. It's a spoon that I bought in the grocery store that says Betty Crocker on it. Now, that spoon I use all the time. It sits in my little basket next to my stove with my spoons and my forks and, all the things you cook with. There are no chips on this. It hasn't discolored and it's been through the dishwasher many, 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 many times. The only thing is that the Betty Crocker the white is beginning to be abraded off. That's all. What a piece of merch. Now, the most used, but not by me, I don't have here because it's sitting in my husband's pocket. It was a stainless steel penknife, and it's only about this large, this long. And I think I probably got that maybe 40 years ago. And he saw it was actually from a company that wanted to sell me the idea of me saying, yes, please make me 100 of these so I can give them to my clients. I never did that. It didn't feel right to the kind of clients that I had. But it had my name on it, my company name, Pellerai, and my husband still uses it. So another piece, even though it's not in my hands. Okay, what's next? The most useful in my home, the most useful is, we mentioned it before, this is a bag from the magazine Living, which was Martha Stewart's magazine. And it's a wonderful bag because it's canvas, it's hard. I mean, it's sturdy and it's not too large. And so I hang it on the railing on the way down my basement because I have a large freezer in my basement. And I go down and I get what I want out of the freezer and I bring it up. Wonderful piece of merch. Now, what's next on my list? Was the most useful in my office. I get lots of blank journals. And I love the ones that have a little elastic on them and, a thing that you can keep where you are in it. And I have interns that work with me. And so each intern has their own little book, little journal. And we keep track of what they have to do when they come in. So there's no question about what's on the agenda. And we make notes as to what has happened or concern. And there's a whole record then of what they have done while here. It's been an incredible innovation for me in terms of management because it's very simple and very easy and it's inexpensive because I didn't pay for it. but it's definitely used. Also, mouse pads. Now, this is an unusual one. This is from Huawei when I was working with them in China. Uh, and that's something that I use all the time. Let's see. Oh, and of course, my mug. You all have seen that one on the show. Now, the least useful, I'm not going to show you because they're at the bottom of every drawer of my house. And that's imprinted tees and hoodies. Because I just don't like them when they're too blatant. I can handle the Nike swoosh, and that's about it. Now, the other that is the most, what I call the most forgotten. The most forgotten are digital lists. You know, where you say, sign up for my newsletter and you'll get this wonderful list of 50 tips. Now, I love that idea and I write in for it, but then I download the PDF and I file it away and I might read it once. And then I don't even remember it. Most forgotten. The silliest. I used to go to a lot of storytelling conferences. Now, storytelling, all of you know if you've watched the show, I do a lot of work in story in business, just in business. I'm not a storyteller that gets up on the stage. But when you go to those conferences, they give you buttons. And the tradition was that you kept the buttons on your lanyard so you could show how many years you had been coming to the show. That's what's left. That's silly. I don't know why I even keep it now because I don't any longer go to those shows. Now, the most surprising, in the beginning, when Amazon first started, they sent out swag. And I actually have a cup that they sent me very early on. I mean, this is in the 90s. But the one that was the absolute most memorable piece of swag was that one time, this was back when postage was about 35 cents. And when it went up by 1 penny. And so they sent in your package of whatever you had ordered a sheet of 10 1-cent stamps. When I got that, I laughed and I used every one of those 1-cent stamps. So I don't have them today. They're all gone, but I haven't forgotten them. You know, as I looked at these items, I realized that I keep things that are useful, that are made well, and are aesthetic. Now, let me explain what I mean by aesthetic. As I said, wearing a tee that has a logo emblazoned on the front and some saying on the back is offensive to me. Aside from the Nike swoosh, I always make that exception because it's an elegant graphic and there are no words to get in the way of imagination. But a tee that has words all over it saying, this is the message, the only message, it gets in the way of imagination, and I don't like that. Imagination is very important. So this is what I like. But what is it that you like? I'm now considering something that would be attractive and useful that I can offer to you, my viewers. And if you have an idea, send me an email. You know my email address. It's right here on the screen, Madeline@MadelineBlair.com. And if you have an idea, no matter what, send it to me. And when I decide on what I will use and get it in my hands, or maybe I'll let Barbara do that, the first 10 of you will receive one. I hope you'll send me some ideas because I really want to do that. And I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope this conversation has offered you some new insights on meaning or actions needed. I know I've got a bunch in my mind. And of course, if you're on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe. It means a lot to me and the show. but it also means a lot to people who are looking for this kind of information. I'm Madeline Blair, wishing you infinite possibilities as you unlock your resilient leader.